I have received an inquiry, and the inquiry is really serious. A lot of people are concerned when they hear halal mortgage. They say, tell me, what is the difference between halal and haram mortgage? Mortgage is mortgage. You know what makes it halal? And others object and they say that, I listen to your advice. I'm trying to avoid usury. I want to buy a house. So I found a halal mortgage provider. I don't want to mention names. On our AMJA website, we listed the eligible and the lawful, the halal mortgage providers, okay, where you can buy a house with them and you consider them 100% halal, or even we say what is 90% halal and they need to work on themselves and so on. It's called amja.org, okay, Sharia Scholar Association of North America. So here on my live show, I avoid mentioning names. But let me explain in simple English the difference between what is known as interest when you buy a house and the bank gives you a loan and gives you a mortgage and you pay interest, versus when you have a halal provider. So you make certain that this is what the halal provider is doing. Otherwise, there is not much difference between them and a conventional bank and the interest-based mortgage and so on. What makes the conventional banks and dealing with them unlawful is the bank doesn't sell homes, the bank doesn't sell cars, the bank doesn't sell properties. The bank doesn't go into partnership with you in your business, in your factory, in your company. The bank is a lender. The bank is based on taking people's money, giving them a little bit of interest, and then giving their money in loans and charging a larger percentage of interest, and the difference is their profit. And this entire process from A to Z is 100% unlawful. You know what? If you tell me that the Grand Mufti of this country, the great Sheikh of this country, whatever said, it has become lawful, it's all fake. With my due respect, any loan which is accompanied with interest is 100% interest, 100% usury, 100% unlawful. And it is the greatest means of destruction to one's wealth, to one's health, to one's investment. Your choice. This is what the Almighty said in the Quran. We quoted the verses so many times, I don't want to keep repeating it over and over. But I want to focus on answering the question. So what is the difference between a loan which is taken from a conventional bank in order to buy a house versus buying a house through a halal provider, supposedly? The halal provider doesn't give you a loan. The halal provider buys the house and it becomes their property, and then they resell it to you. Or if you have 30% of the value of the house, you pay them as down payment. They come up with the 70%. Then you and the provider become partners in this house, partners in this project, in the company, in the business. Partners, everyone according to their shares. 30% you paid. The halal provider paid 70%. So now I own the house. No, you don't own the house. You only own 30% of the house. And the halal provider owns 70%. This is what they paid for. So you live in the house and you pay the rent of the 70%, which is the ownership of the halal provider. Based on your agreement, you're going to evaluate the house price annually, biannually, every 5 years, depending on how fast you can come up with some money. So annually, and now you have another 25%. The market value, today's market value, they say it worth so much. Here it is. Bismillah. You give them the check or you give them the cash. Now you started possessing the 50% of the property, of the business, of the house. And the halal provider still maintains 50%, where you have to keep paying the rent of those 50%. and so on and so forth, until you come up with the rest of the money and you possess the property entirely. They don't want to become partners forever. They're enjoying the rent, which is halal, and they're enjoying the increase in the value of the property, which is 100% halal. If you do this calculation and say, yeah, you know what? Actually, the 6% interest from the bank is pretty much the same. You're saying so because you don't understand. You don't get it. The bank gives you a loan. The bank doesn't buy houses. The bank doesn't sell you a house or a property or a car or a vehicle or a machine. The bank gives you a loan. He writes the check or wires the money to the seller, and that's another violation because you're not buying from the bank. It is not financed by owner, and this is not permissible as well. It becomes only permissible if somebody is giving you a goodly loan, and I do not anticipate somebody will give you $750,000 for the sake of God for 15 years. Everybody wants to profit. So there is a way. There are multiple ways to profit lawfully. And there is the common way and the easy way where people actually resort to just to get rid of the headache, and they end up living in misery. Look what the ayah says. يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَا وَيُرْبِي الصَّدَقَاتِ وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ كَفَّارٍ أَثِيمٍ. If there is no other warning in our religion pertaining to riba, or again is dealing with usury, but this verse, it would have been sufficient. Allah will destroy usury. How would Allah destroy usury? You bought a vehicle through usury, destruction. A house through usury, destruction. Business through usury, destruction. You name it. Financially, in the way you raise your kids, in your own health, in other properties, because he says he will ruin it. يَمْحَقُ ruin, will withdraw the blessings out of it, subject to destruction. While, on the other hand, those who give any charity, the Almighty will enlarge their reward for their charity. And then in the second chapter of the Quran, there is a serious warning where the Almighty Allah addressed the believers. If you are a believer, if you're listening, He said, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وذروا ما بقي من الربا إن كنتم مؤمنين. Oh, who you believed, fear Allah. The word leave the remains of riba do not deal with any form or shape of usury. If you truly believe, what if you don't comply? What if you don't do accordingly? Then فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Imagine the Almighty Allah Himself from above 7 heavens and His messenger declare war against the person who dismisses the prohibition of usury, who still deals with it. Can you afford it? You're living happily in a flat, 100 square meters, 400 square yards, but you want it to expand. You have the money, fine. You have a halal provider, fine. But you have an unlawful mortgage, step back, step back, step back. And I think it's really silly how every now and then we hear people say, I'm convinced, but I heard another chick, or I read somewhere it is okay. That's called fatwa shopping, no doubt. It's called fatwa shopping. You guys grown up enough to know what is right and what is wrong. And it's your choice. But the choice comes with a package of either success or failure. Likewise in business. And in business, the Almighty Allah said, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Allah made lawful every form of business transaction, selling, buying, selling on installments. You don't have to pay cash as long as you fix the price in advance. Trade, item for an item, goodly loans, all of that is permissible. But to purchase something, and since you don't have the cash, he says the price is 100K, but until you come up with the price, we'll keep charging you 13%, 15%. And if you're late, the interest will be doubled, and the penalty is whatever. That's initially usury. And then with doubling the interest, compound. So be careful, brothers and sisters. Be careful, because this is not an easy matter. And those who avoided usury, let them be living in the USA, in the UK, in France, in Tokyo, Osaka, Russia, China, anywhere. Allah, with His knowledge, is supervising everywhere. وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. He is with you with His knowledge. He is fully acquainted of what you do. So be careful. Those who say, but because we live in a non-Muslim country, does it mean that it's okay to commit adultery? It's okay to have a boyfriend and you're a man? Or a girlfriend, or even a boyfriend and a girlfriend? Is it okay to eat pork? Lawful is lawful. Unlawful is lawful. Fear Allah and keep your duty to Him, no matter where you are. May Allah bless you all. May Allah guide us to His best.